Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting close to get started. 10 minutes late. Better than never, I guess, right? We welcome you this evening to the alumni banquet and the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name's Connor Shakespeare. I'm a member of the Alumni Association, and I've been asked to be the Master of Ceremonies this evening. On behalf of the alumni and the university, we want to say thanks for coming out this evening, for the time constraints that it takes. There's many things that take people away nowadays, but we appreciate you coming to a Dixie event. We appreciate your time. We especially appreciate your money. But more importantly, we're very thankful for you being here this evening. So many of you at homecoming, you come to the campus. You walk it. You don't get to be here very often. Now, there's a favorite place of mine, and it happens not to be the mud pit of the Great Race, those of you who have participated in it. It doesn't happen to be the fountain right here where the true rebel or the true trailblazer used to be, or is currently. But it happens to be where a monument used to be. It was a rebel monument, the rebel statue. And the reason I just bring that up is because there's a poem titled Two Little Boys, and I think it really exemplifies Dixie, the Dixie spirit. And there's a line in it, a couple lines I want to share, and it's this. Did you think I would leave you dying when there's room on my horse for two? Climb up here, Jack, and we'll be flying to the boys in blue. And I love that poem because it's the fact of lifting. That's what Dixie does for all of us. And so we're here today because somebody lifted us. You're here today because you're lifting somebody now. So those who are being honored, we appreciate you and we thank you. We're going to get started right now into our program. So we'll have an opening prayer given by Student Alumni President Neil Gardner. Following the prayer, we'll have an opportunity to hear from Dr. Richard Biff Williams, the 18th President of Dixie State University, the man, the legend. He will address us. Neil.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so very thankful to be gathered here today with friends and family. We're thankful to be a part of this great school, Dixie University. We're thankful for all our many blessings, and please bless us this night that we may enjoy this program, and please bless the food that will nourish strength in our bodies. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's Alumni Banquet and Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony. This has been an exciting homecoming week, and to think that tonight there's only about 5 more events after this one. One change we made this year is that we moved the Trailblazer 5K from midnight on Friday to last night, so if you were planning on running, you can eat dessert tonight. You're safe. But let me extend a welcome to our alumni, to our guests. We're excited that you've come back. For me, homecoming is an exciting time because we get to meet so many new alumni. Today we met in the Alumni House, the Golden Generation, and to hear your stories and to hear how Dixie State University affected you is something that really energizes us here, and it makes us want to work harder for Dixie State University. I'm pleased to tell you that your faculty and staff are wonderful and the institution is in great hands. You may have seen there's a lot of exciting things happening on our campus. Just recently, for the first time in history, the U.S. News & World Report ranked Dixie State University as the 26th overall regional college in the West and the 7th regional public college in the West. Right now we have record enrollment of 9,950 students. We have 43 distinctive degree programs. If you look back 10 years, we had 9 programs. And so our faculty, staff, and administration have been working very hard. This year we'll add 4 additional degree programs in applied and computational mathematics, Health Sciences, Family Studies, and Marketing. Last year, we celebrated the first graduate degree to be founded on our campus, a master's in accounting. We'll add 4 more this year, a master's in athletic training, applied kinesiology, technical writing and digital rhetoric, and marriage and family therapy. Our student services are greater than ever. We offer more tutoring, advising. We have a great veterans club to serve our veterans here on our campus. Our multicultural inclusion center has been growing, and many more things. The exciting thing for us has been the statistics that last year of our senior class, 87% of them rated their education as excellent. More importantly, 85% of our senior class had a job. The parents were really thankful for that, or they were accepted into graduate school. As you can see, our campus is under construction. Just over here is just a small building coming out of the ground, our new Health and Human Performance Center. We were also ranked this year as #1 by our Board of Regents and 3rd in the state for priority for our new Science, Engineering, and Technology building, which we're hopeful to secure the money this legislative session. We've also added East Grandstands to Trailblazer Stadium, new tennis courts. We've renovated the Browning Center, and we also will be building this year another Campus View Suites 2, which is another 450-bed housing unit here on our campus. And last but certainly not least, for those that love athletics, we also have been informally invited to enter into the Western Athletic Conference, which we're studying right now. And if you're interested, we have a town hall meeting just next week where you can come in and weigh in on that. But as you can see, the Dixie spirit is alive and well on our campus. One of the most frequent questions that I get from those that come to our campus is what really makes Dixie State distinctive? And some might think it's a program or a co-curricular activity, but for me, what makes us distinctive are the people that are here. Dixie changes lives, and if you see our faculty and our staff, they are changing lives of our students every day. So today we are thrilled to honor our alumni and friends. I want to be the first to congratulate our honorees, especially our Hall of Fame inductees, Monty and Lisa Holm, Roger Nuttall, Tad Derrick, also our alumni honorees, Dennis Udy, Linda Lou Bills. All of our honorees have changed the lives and made the world a better place, and we are grateful that we get to honor them as a university. So thank you for being here, and please come back often.
Thank you, President Williams. You know, Dixie State has experienced unprecedented growth these last few years under your leadership, and we are very grateful for that. We'd also like to recognize this evening some other guests as well in attendance, including DSU administrators, local officials, members of the Hall of Fame, the DSU Alumni Board, and, of course, our friends of Dixie. We appreciate your continued support and hope you enjoy your evening. And now, the best part, almost. It's time for dinner. And so following dinner, we will have a special performance by recently crowned Miss Dixie State 2018, Eliana Habibian. But I'd like to invite everyone to begin eating, and we'll resume the program in about 25 minutes. Okay, feel free to continue finishing your meals as we continue on with the program. I do actually have some prizes here. I want to start as you're eating. I've got some Dixie prizes here, and so I want to ask some questions. Would like to know who has traveled the furthest to get here. So I know state of Utah is an obvious. So by raise of hand, outside of state of Utah, okay, East Coast. Or Hawaii. East Coast, only one left. Okay, how far did you travel from? From New York, the state of New York. I got you a sweet hoodie. Yeah, this is nice stuff, you know what I mean? Huh? You can buy it at the bookstore. It's on sale, 30% off. Buy one, get one, 30% off, everybody. Okay, for you couples out there, got a question for you. Who was the longest married in the room? The longest married? Let's see here. Who is 30 years? Raise of hands. 30 years. 40 years. 40 years. 45 years. 50 years. 55 years. 60 years. Okay, oh, wait, do we only have one left? Wait, okay, we have two up. 61, 2, 3. You're the only hand up. Well, how many years have you been married? 63 plus? Congratulations. We have you a snuggle blanket for all the cuddling, right here it is. We'll have Brad come grab it. Okay, last but not least, who is the youngest in the room? The youngest in the room. Less than one. What do we have here? How many months? 6 weeks. Who can beat 6 weeks? 7? Oh, 8 weeks. Jeez, congratulations. You know what? You have won. This is the coolest little thing. This little guy right here. Yeah, that is cute. So if you need to go up to the bookstore, Dixie State right there, from the mascot factory. Congratulations to being the youngest in the room. Let's continue on with the program. We will now be favored to have our newly crowned homecoming queen, Eliana Habibian from St. George, presenting her winning talent number. She is from St. George and is a student at Dixie State. She will present a Polynesian and Tahitian cultural dance. Eliana. Yeah, Eliana, you have some moves. Nice job. We wish you luck as you prepare for the Miss Utah pageant, and we appreciate everything you've done. Thank you very much. We'll now be pleased to introduce Tiffany Larkin Wilson as tonight's presenter. Tiffany Larkin Wilson is a native of Southern Utah, having grown up in the heart of St. George. She is a graduate of Dixie High School and Dixie College, where she served in student government as the clubs and organizations vice president, performed with the Rebelette dance team, that's what I like, and was crowned Miss Dixie College in 1985. That's the same year, I believe, the men's basketball team was 85, men's basketball team championship. Tiffany is also a graduate of Brigham Young University, where she received a bachelor's degree in family science. Tiffany also serves on the Dixie State University Board of Trustees. Tiffany is the owner and CEO of Designer Marketplace, an online company specializing in sales of home goods and clothing on multiple marketplaces, primarily Amazon. Even though each of the Wilsons' 4 children have now left the nest, they have no plans to ever leave the beauty and the lifestyle of Southern Utah again. They are grateful every day to live their lives surrounded by the red hills of Dixie. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Tiffany Larkin Wilson.
Just if I can get the clicker from there. Yeah, that's me. Good evening, everyone. It is so much fun to be here tonight. Believe it or not, I actually am excited to be here with you and to be a part of this homecoming week. It's been really quite a week already, and I want to tell you how this went down. So about 6 weeks ago, I got a call from Del Beatty and said, "We're just in a meeting right now for the Homecoming Queen pageant, and we decided that you would be the perfect person to be the MC of the pageant, so we've signed you up." I said, "Oh, okay. Sounds great. I think I can do that." I was a little nervous, but I said, "I can handle that." About 2 weeks later, I get texts and messages, and I finally call John Bowler back. He says, "Brad Last and I were just sitting and talking and said, you would be the perfect person to speak at the alumni banquet." Of course, not knowing that the other people had asked me to do the other one, I thought, do I tell them or not? But regardless, I said, "You've got to be kidding. I'm definitely not old enough for this yet." But somehow I said, okay. Then it finally came down to just 2 weeks ago, I got one last text from John who said, "Hey, by the way, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to mention this to you. But traditionally, the speaker at the banquet is also the Grand Marshal for the Homecoming Parade. So people, I'm the Homecoming Parade Grand Marshal. That's the best thing to come." Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I don't know how many of you know my grandma Larkin, Montreux. I know a lot of you do. She was my role model and my hero and accomplished more in her life with challenging circumstances than anyone I've ever known. One of my proudest moments as a child was seeing my grandma ride down the Tabernacle Street as the Grand Marshal of a parade. So I'm just going to be thinking that my grandma's going to be very pleased tomorrow when I'm waving. So I'm really, really happy about that. I think it's a fun week to get to participate and to be here. So I had also 2 challenges I was given. John didn't make it easy on me when he asked me to speak. He said, "This is all I need you to do. We need you to entertain them. Just make sure it's entertaining and make sure it's worth their $15. So, you know, not a lot of pressure. The worst part was when I then found out it was actually $18. So now I've got a lot of problems because I had to come up with the last minute $3 more worth of value in my presentation. So, but I've come up with a plan just in case it doesn't, if it's not worth it, if you feel like you didn't get your money's worth. Let's see if my slideshow will work. You can go ahead and send a Venmo request to either Brad Last at DSU or John Bowler and request however much money you think you need back. So I don't know for sure, to be honest, if those are their Venmo account addresses, but I do know that that is mine in case you would like to, if you think it's better than you expected, you're welcome to send additional tips. So that one is correct. Also, the other challenge was to be entertaining. I came prepared. I've dusted off when I was in college, here at Dixie College, took a tap dance class in these very tap shoes, and they're still ready to go. So just in case it gets a little slow, I'll pull them out. Even better is the fact that I took this tap dance class in that fine arts building with my mother, Dixie Larkin. And so, Mom, if it gets really bad, start stretching out right now because I might need you, okay? So we're going to proceed and hope that we do okay. I was asked, when they asked me to speak, Brad and John, basically said they wanted to have me share some of the experiences I've had as a person developing an online retail business. And sometimes I think it's super boring because it's what I've done forever, but it's been quite an interesting journey, and I'm excited to share that with you. When I started, it started out as a hobby, a way to get rid of junk around my house, extra things. It eventually grew into a passion, and then into a full-time career and a corporation, a successful corporation. I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way because there's really no better way to learn them. And I'll share some of the details with you of those lessons I've learned, how I've been able to build this business over time since I left Dixie, because it all starts right here. I really believe strongly that the foundations that are laid right here are what helps give us the encouragement and confidence to go out and take on the world. I graduated right here from Dixie in 1986, and I believe that my opportunities I had to work in student government and in other leadership opportunities really prepared me to have this can-do attitude. The size of the university, the opportunities that I had, made me think I could go and do really kind of whatever I wanted. And I'm so grateful for that foundation. My husband, Scott, and I moved to the East Coast shortly after we graduated from BYU. He was working in the technology sales industry, and I was a mom of 4 kids at home. I've never been really good at sitting still, I'll admit that. And if there's any question, you can ask my parents, who say that I tried them to their last bone. So I was never really good at just being totally content, and always was looking for something to do. I always was looking for some way to make a few dollars as I was a young mom at home. I tried all sorts of things, selling Usborne books, if any of you remember those, or making gift bags or baskets and selling them. Also, all sorts of things like that. None of them, of course, were anything that lasted more than 6 months. But then my obsession with online retail started in about 2001. Now that's back when, the early days of the internet still. We were still getting used to this whole World Wide Web concept. And, early 2001, remember, this is right after the whole Y2K, when we were all confident that the entire world was going to just combust. There was nothing that was going to survive that Y2K. Somehow we did, and things really started happening and booming with online businesses at that time. In 1995 is the year that eBay and Amazon both launched. Interesting, it was both the same year. And they look nothing like they do today, the business itself or the websites. This is their old original home pages, which is kind of fun to see. At that point, Amazon was just a place to buy and sell used textbooks. We didn't buy and sell every kind of thing that we get from Amazon now. But eBay and Amazon in '95 started a complete revolution in the way that people purchase and shop. So as the mom of these 4 young kids, it wasn't really reasonable for me to work outside the home, and I was far too determined to be independent and have freedom to be willing to go to work somewhere. So I kept thinking there's got to be a way for me to make money in this whole online world. So in early 2001, a friend of mine mentioned that she had been buying and selling some things on eBay. Now, I'd heard of eBay. This is so strange to even think of a time when I'd barely heard of eBay. That's how new it was. And she said that she'd been selling a few things and making a little bit of money. Well, my friend Dee is her name. She would put anyone to shame with the amazing things she did. But she had 6 young kids at home, including brand new twins, and she was making a few dollars on eBay. So I thought, good grief, if she is doing this, I've got to be able to do this too. So I thought I'm going to give it a try. On January 2nd, 2001, the date is still on my eBay account, I spent several hours on an afternoon at Dee's house. She told me to bring a pile of things that I thought maybe I could get rid of around the house and sell. And she showed me how to set up my eBay account, how to write descriptions, and add photos to the listings. Now, this was still when digital photography was brand new, and that took me days to figure out how to put a picture on the computer. But regardless, I was determined to learn. So I launched that day 5 auctions, and I watched those like a hawk for the next 7 days. Just watching, one got a bid, oh my goodness, something else got a bid. I was so excited. Some of them didn't, and by the end of the week, I think 3 of the 5 things had sold. Now, none of them made very much money, and especially when you consider how many hours and the time that I put in and the fees that I paid, but it didn't matter. I was completely hooked at that point. I was completely astounded. There I was sitting in my house in Alpharetta, Georgia, and somehow I'd become connected with strangers from all over the country who were buying my junk. I thought, this is the greatest concept ever. I was ecstatic, and I could not be held back. Much to my husband's chagrin, we will still have discussions about this on occasion. There were many times that dinner didn't happen, like for a few weeks. But I recognize I kind of went overboard, which sometimes happens. But I was excited. And what I did, and the groundwork that was laid at that time, really paid off and helped bless our family down the road. So from that day on, I was all in on my online selling. I was looking at everything that I owned and thinking, can I resell that? Can I resell that? Stuff was no longer stuff. Instead, stuff became the object of this one important question. Can I resell that? Now, this image that I have up there, the little pictures behind it, they're all odds and ends things that I sold in my first couple of years of being an online eBay seller, back when I was just doing eBay. And there were some interesting things. Sometime you can come and take a look at it closer, but I sold some strange things, and some of them made a little money, a lot of them didn't. But this mindset that I developed then is now part of my DNA. I don't look at things like normal people do. It's a bit of a problem sometimes. Instead of seeing something that I should say, that should go to the DI, I think, no way, there's at least $3.50 I'm going to get out of that dang thing before it's gone. So I'm still determined that there's going to be life in these items before I give them up. Now, granted, I will say, I still send truckloads to the DI. I'm still donating, but not until I've absolutely given up every last option to try and recycle them in some way. So that was my mindset from that point on. I made tons of mistakes, and what I can say is I spent a lot of time making very little money, no doubt about it. And this lasted for years. But dang it, I was determined to make that very little bit of money. I was so all in. I puttered along with this for several years, and till things kind of changed when we moved to St. George. Again, we'd been living in Atlanta at the time. We moved back in 2005, and you're going to really love the reason we came back to St. George. 2005, we came back for real estate. Yeah, it was a bad choice. So we came back to pursue real estate investments and a real estate business. Needless to say, it didn't go well. Down the line, my investment in this effort really came back to pay off when we needed it. So I had some friends that came in town about a year later. They wanted to go shopping at the outlet stores, back when we actually had some outlets at the outlet stores. Not quite the same now. So I never went very often, and I never stepped in the Ralph Lauren outlet because that just seemed like so expensive. Even at an outlet price, it just seemed like too much money for me to spend, so I didn't really ever want to go in. But I'm dragging along with these friends, and they are shopping, trying things on. I'm killing time. So I wandered to the back of the store, and up to this point, just let me mention that I had been selling, the way I'd been doing this business is then I'd started not just selling my own junk, I'd started going to thrift stores and to garage sales and looking for things that I could sell. Again, some wins, lots of losses, but an awful lot of learning. So this day was really significant. I walked to the back of the store and I find this rounder of men's jeans. The first thing that jumps out is it says, this rack, all 75% off the lowest mark price. I think that's incredible. I'm gonna take a look at that rack. So first thing I look at is these jeans look atrocious. I mean, they literally look like someone had poured grease all over them, tossed them into a pile of dirt, ripped holes in them, and then run over them with a tractor. They looked that bad. And I was astounded. Now, granted, there was that style, and still is to some degree. But when I took a look at the price tag and pulled it out, that was when everything changed. I don't know if you can read that price tag. Those jeans were $360 retail. They were on sale that day for $19.99. Every light in my brain went off. I mean, it was like Las Vegas in my head that day. There was so many lights going off. And I was frantic to get home. I started taking pictures with my phone. I started writing down, actually, did I even take pictures with my phone? I don't even know if I could do that. Just kidding. I started writing things down. And I went home and I got on the computer and I could not wait to do the research. I looked on eBay and started to look at things that had sold. Sure enough, these jeans, no, they weren't selling for $360 because that never happens. You never get full price online when you resell. But they were selling for about $120 a pair. Now, I've been making $5 or $10 on the things for about 5 years. And suddenly, I had an opportunity. I ran back to that store and wiped that store out. I wasn't used to dropping that much money. That was a lot of money for me to spend. But from that day on, I changed my business model. And I realized that if I wanted to make any money, it takes the same amount of effort for me to make $5 as it did for me to make $100. Same amount of time to create the listing, same amount of effort. Well, it was worth a whole lot more for me to spend a little more money. From that point on, I started doing things differently. At that point, I only purchased new things. I quit on used things, and I realized how much profit those could be. And from that point, my business doubled or tripled its income every year for the next about 9 years. Which leads me to my first important point and lesson that I want to share with you, which is that money-making opportunities are everywhere. You just have to turn on your resell sensors and be aware. People are practically giving things away out there. And things, you'll find them in grocery stores. You'll find them in TJ Maxx. I'm giving all sorts of secrets. Doesn't matter. I'm moving on. So there's places everywhere that you can find things. You just have to be looking. And once you develop kind of a mentality of that, you find a lot of opportunities. Over the next 5 or 6 years, I made a killing doing one particular line, which was Ralph Lauren. I had found that niche and I dove in deep. I began to travel to every outlet within, 500 miles. I would go to Park City. I would go to Las Vegas. I would go to Prim. I would go to California, Southern California. I knew where every outlet was within about 500 miles, and I would make loops and hit every possible place I could. One particular day, which was just really crazy epic, we happened to drive down to Barstow to go to the outlets. My husband was a great sport. Now, I'm going to give him a little extra credit because he really wasn't always a good sport. But this particular day, he was in with me, so I was so grateful. We went to Barstow, and they were doing the extra 75 off of the high-end stuff. I went nuts. Its place was a gold mine like none other. We spent about $1,700 that day in that Barstow outlet, and by the time we walked out, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, I think that it was worth something like $53,000 for our $1,700. Does that sound about right? Yeah, I think that's about what it was. And there were so many hundreds of items. Checking out that day required 3 employees for 2 full hours, including my husband taking everything off hangers, everything, disassembling everything for them to ring up, and he bagged it all, and it's a miracle we got it home, but it kind of folded up nicely. So those were the kind of days that I just lived for. That was the most fun I could ever even imagine. Then in about 2010, I continued on just selling on eBay. For the first time, I heard about Amazon's FBA program, which stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And the way Amazon's fulfillment program works, again, FBA, is sellers, we purchase items, merchandise, we list them on the Amazon website, and then we label them with stickers. Then we send them into Amazon's warehouse, wherever they want them, where they'll sit until someone, one of us, says, I want to buy that item. They'll box it up, they'll ship it to the person, and all they ask is a large percentage of my income. But regardless, it's still totally worth it. It has been. At least it's been worth it up until recently, when fees have really been making some changes. So I had heard about this, and I thought, I'm interested, but that sounds scary to let our stuff go. What if it doesn't sell? What if it sits there? What if? It was a little scary, but I thought, I've got to give this thing a try. So we sent a bunch of home goods in and some clothing items and crossed our fingers. I was shocked when I realized how fast these items sold and for how much higher prices than they ever sold on eBay, probably double the prices because of the image of buying on Amazon versus buying on eBay. Again, we're selling all new items, so it was an easy match. And again, up to this point, I'd never even heard that people could sell anything but textbooks on Amazon. So I look at it and I kind of call that those were the real wild, wild west days on Amazon when you could get on there and the competition was low. People didn't know they could do this yet, and we really had a heyday on there for a while. We had very little competition, which made a huge difference. So these warehouses are hard to even imagine, but take a look at this. These are all over the country. This is where your stuff sits when you buy something from Amazon. This is where it's going to come from. You should watch, if you're interested, watch some YouTube videos about this and how these warehouses work. They're just unbelievable. These conveyor belts, it's quite an automated process. So at that point, I realized I had no more limits on how much stuff I could store in my house. I had unlimited space, in theory, at Amazon's warehouses. Suddenly, I thought, I need to do something different. I can now have more inventory, because before it was stuck under pretty much every person's bed, in kitchen cupboards. I mean, we were storing stuff anywhere we could. My house was completely run over with inventory that we were selling and sending out to our buyers. So now suddenly the inventory was gone. We had all this space, and dang it, I was going to make sure we filled every possible way to keep ourselves busy. So I knew I needed a new way to expand the business yet once again. I no longer wanted to keep going out and picking items from retail stores. Was getting more difficult. Competition was getting thicker. So I got really fortunate and was able to get a contract with several large national retailers to purchase their overstock inventory. This was yet the next big change in my business. I was able to order large quantities of brand new, name brand inventory at pennies on the dollar on occasion, and it was delivered right to my house by the FedEx freight truck on pallets. This was what I call the beginning of the end of my garage. And We ended up actually having to move shortly after I started getting the pallets and found a house with some extra garages because we took them over with things coming and going. But the merchandise would come in, we would get it listed, we would prep it, and then we would send it into Amazon's warehouses. But it's quite a cycle that it goes through. I continued to reinvest every dime that I could. And that's been one of the keys I think that's been helpful is I tried to take very little from the business. I tried to always reinvest in inventory. And so that was always helpful. And the sales really started to reflect it. This last change when I started doing the Fulfillment by Amazon program, I saw the most significant changes that were unbelievable to me. And say in 2005, I might have made $10,000 or something in the year. I'm thinking maybe in 2010, I probably made, I don't know, $50,000 in the year. And as things kept growing, the best, greatest month ever of my life, also very exhausting, was our best year was 2015. And in December 2015, just in the month of December, it was so exciting to see that we hit $148,000 in sales just in the month of December. And all this was happening from my garage and from my basement. Now, this wouldn't have ever been able to happen without the most fabulous employees that you could ever imagine. It would never be possible. I could not have been doing this by myself. Along the way, I learned another lesson, which was to surround yourself with good people. And I love this quote and this thought to focus on the things that you do best and pay other people to do the rest. I always felt guilty early on about paying someone to come and help with cleaning my house, but I realized what I could exchange that time, my time was worth more to invest, and I could make more than it was going to cost me to pay a cleaner. It was also hard in the beginning to feel like I dared spend money on employees because I thought, well, then that's just more money that goes out. But it was unbelievable to see how exponentially the business grew with each person that I brought in. I'm fortunate to have here with me tonight my right-hand number one, numero uno, save my life assistant, V. Thompson. And V waved just because I want everyone to know that she's my life. She does everything and keeps me going, and I really am so grateful for her. She's been with me for 6 years, and I would be somewhere in a van down by the river if I didn't have V to keep me going straight. And I've also been really fortunate to have my wonderful, brilliant, organized sister, Allison, who is also here with us tonight, just recently come and start helping work with me as well a little bit more often. The best part about this, though, that I'm actually really proud of this part, and it's been a goal of mine, is that I have also been able to employ over the years, at least 5 or more young women who've been students at Dixie State University, and they have been my additional employee. They've been my graphic designers, my photographers, and I have really loved being able to take these young women and provide a training ground for entrepreneurship and, again, the can-do attitude that we can do these things and to be able to launch them. I kind of feel like they're my children. I launch them on their way as they graduate, and then I cry because then I've got to hire somebody else. But I keep hiring from Dixie because they're so good. Last couple things. I want to share just a few last things that I have learned through some interesting experiences. Unfortunately, I could tell you for like 10 hours crazy buyer stories. They're my favorite, crazy buyer stories. It's amazing how many interesting people there are out there in the world and the way they think and the way they process. We've had some humdingers, and I would share more if I had more time. But first, again, money-making opportunities are everywhere. And interesting thing that happened, this is my son Nathan. When he was in high school, he wanted to learn to do what I was doing. So I started out with him, helped him get some sourcing, and one day I was at Albertsons, and here were these carts full of 2 for $1 Orville Redenbacher's boxes of popcorn. I did my quick research on my phone and realized there's some money in here. He can afford this. I called him and had him come right up. He bought the whole dang place out of Orville Redenbacher's. We bundled them together into sets of 2, which is more profitable to do it that way. And that launched him on starting to have his own Amazon business. I was so excited because in just less than 2 years, he managed to earn about $10,000, I think, before his mission, and while he was in high school as a part-time thing. So I was so proud of him, and it just goes to show you don't have to be, I mean, young people, there are ways to do this. You young peoples in the back there, there's ways to do this, that's right. You've got to be looking for the opportunities, start looking. One of my favorite stories is that I kind of wiped out another Albertsons one day on their flea and tick collar clearance. And I came home with bags full of flea and tick collars. I could have taken care of every animal in St. George for quite some time. But same thing, bundled those up, sent those off, and I bought them for pennies on the clearance at Albertsons. One of my very favorite things, though, was these Conair shaving gel warmers. You put your shaving gel thing in it, it heats it up. So men, I don't know, I've never had a beard, at least I haven't had one yet, but I am getting older, so we'll see. So you put that in there, it heats it up, and you get nice warm shaving gel. I don't know what was going on, but there must have been a shortage in the United States, and they were all here in St. George. I scanned them. My favorite thing is I take my phone and I scan everything with barcode scanners. That's the funnest thing to do. And I realized I could buy these things for about $6 where I was finding them. And they were selling for, I don't know, $30, something like that. I bought a bunch. They sold so fast, I couldn't even believe it. I ended up going to Bed Bath & Beyond. I negotiated with the manager and said, I want to buy everything you can get in here. He found some. He got me like 100 of them. We sold them so fast. This was the orders just one day that went out on these Conair shaving gel warmers. And it was around Christmas, so it was a great time to do it. But who would have known, right? It was just one of those really random things. I also want to say, this is a real thing, something I feel very passionate about. Very passionate about. Your behavior online is a direct reflection on who you are and your character. It's very simple to, to think that we can abuse people, to be angry or whatever, but you are that same person regardless. So I really want to encourage people to take responsibility and be careful how we treat people online. It tells us who we are. I just got to give you one quick little thing on this. Honesty is another thing. It's easy to kind of not be honest when you're dealing with people online. This is crazy, but this feather boa, believe it or not, which is not real whatever. This feather boa retails for, the retail's like $240. I'm not sure who is going to buy it, but some people have. So someone bought one of these from us, and we got a return notice and said they were sending it back because it was not as described. We'd packed it, we knew what they received. Somehow, instead, we got, when it came back, we got this. Have any of you been to Michael's and bought a feather boa at Michael's? This is what they sent us back. Was a Michael's $5 feather boa. They'd kept the $200 valued feather boa and sent us this. Well, we never got around to filing the claim against them. We probably still will. But I'm keeping this around forever as a reminder that it's important to be honest. Even if you don't know the person, we still have to be careful who we're working with. So I'm just going to jump to the end, and what I wanted to share. I once was blamed for a kitchen fire because someone didn't read the instructions on their metal teapot. That was a fun one too. Take responsibility for your own mistakes. She literally had a kitchen fire and asked for me to help cover the cost. And also I've had some really wonderful experiences with people. There are great people out there in the world, and I'm going to skip. Someday I'm going to give you the rest of it. I just want to say, be a George. Oh, his little name thing got moved. Sorry, George. George wrote me the nicest email thanking me one day for helping him with a return. I sent him a response back, said, no problem, gladly, I'm so happy to do that. He responded back again and said, thank you so much for all your efforts. You really are a wonderful person. Ever since Sandy Hook, when my wife was killed, I have found so much humanism in the actions of others. Even the smallest acts of kindness have become important to me. I stopped and I thought, who is this? Who's his wife? I quickly got online and started looking and found out that his wife was Dawn Hoeksprung, who was the principal of Sandy Hook Elementary, who had been killed saving the children's lives. This was his wife. And I read all about her heroic efforts, how much she loved the children, how kind she was. He was obviously older than her, but I read a lot of articles about what a wonderful relationship they had. It was just the most beautiful thing. And I was so touched. And I thought, who is this person that is having this crisis, that has been recently through this crisis, which is several years ago, and is writing this note to me, made the effort to write to me and said, thank you so much for all your efforts. I processed a refund. You really are a wonderful person. Ever since my wife was killed, I have found so much humanism in the actions of others. Even the smallest acts of kindness have become important to me. I think of all the lessons I've learned in the years that I've been doing this. The thing that I am most passionate about is kindness, and in treating those, whether they're right here in front of us with us, or whether they're 2,000 miles away, treating each other with kindness and respect. And I have probably never been touched by anything so much as I was by this sweet man, George. And he will forever be my hero. So I want to challenge each of us to be a little more like George. And thank you for having me tonight. I truly appreciate it, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the weekend and enjoy homecoming. Thank you. I'll leave the tap shoes for you.
You're going to leave the tap shoes for me? Perfect. Tiffany, we really do appreciate this. We do have a gift for you. On behalf of the Alumni Association and Dixie State University, thank you so much for presenting tonight, and thank you for your talents and especially your drive on entrepreneurship and for the motivational speech this evening. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move into the Alumni Awards portion of the evening, and tonight's awards will be presented by Kelly Prince, the Alumni Board President. We'll turn the time over to Kelly.
Thank you. We are so glad to be here tonight. I'm very excited and honored to be able to recognize these two amazing individuals. The first award this evening will be the Distinguished Alumni Faculty and Staff Award to Linda Lou Bills as a thank you for all she's done for the college. Linda Lou Bills was born and raised in St. George, Utah, where she went to the only elementary school in town until 6th grade. She then went on to attend Woodward Junior High until 10th grade and finished high school on Dixie Junior College's Main Street campus back in 1956. Across the street from the college was an old hotel where she started what would become her long career as a switchboard operator. Sometime later, she started working as the receptionist and switchboard operator at Dixie College, beginning her 20-year career as the voice of Dixie. Here she found a job and colleagues whom she loved. I encourage you all to read her complete bio in the program that you have. Linda Lou, will you please join us on stage?
I want to thank the college for this great honor and tell them how I loved working here when I was here. It was real small then, and we knew each other really well, and we all got along really well, and I miss them so much. Dr. Max Rose, Dr. Carl Brooks, and for everyone in the South Administration where I worked. I was going to tell you one more thing, and I know this fellow is not still alive, so I dare tell it. He came into the South Administration and wanted to know where the meeting was. And I knew that Max Rose was sitting in his office and his secretary also. And I had no idea. I said, I don't believe it is today. Well, it is today. And I want you to find out where it is. So I called Max, and he said, call Truman Bowler. And so I called Truman Bowler, and he said, if Mr. So-and-so is right, we're all wrong. And I repeated this back to him. Well, it was the wrong thing to do. And he had some books in his hand, and he threw it down on my desk and said, young lady, you're no help at all. Well, it just, infuriated me, and it takes a little bit to do that. And so, as he went to leave, I said, yes, sir, and you're a real da-da-da. And then I heard and joined so that they couldn't fire me. And I want to thank Clark McMullen this night. He was the gentleman who hired me. And I loved my job. I loved Clark. I loved everybody out here on campus, but not that man that I thought was going to get my job taken away from me. Thank you so much for this honor. And know that I still love Dixie College. It's changed well, it's not just Dixie College anymore, Dixie State University. And I think our new president here is doing a wonderful job with all of the advancements they're making. I don't think I could keep up with it all. But thanks a lot, everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I know the people on the other end of the phone are the people that matter the most. The next person that we would like to recognize, and our second alumni award, is being presented to Dennis Udy. He went from playing on his high school baseball team to Dixie Junior College's team and eventually the minor leagues. Dennis Udy has had a passion for baseball his whole life. He has served as president and founder of Cache Valley Pony League, president of the American Legion North, and a scout for the Colorado Rockies for 7 years. About 26 years ago, Dennis felt that kids did not have enough opportunities to improve their baseball skills and started Rocky Mountain School of Baseball. When the Super League started, it was comprised of 14 teams. Today, the league has grown to 430 teams with 5,000 players from southern Idaho, southern Utah, and has raised much money via semi-annual fundraiser tournaments for organizations such as the ALS Foundation, the Kidney Dialysis Center in Logan, the Breast Cancer Foundation at Dixie Regional Hospital. Dennis's bio is also in the program, so you can continue to learn about this wonderful person. Dennis, would you please join us?
I wasn't supposed to say anything, and I'm really not. You got a long night ahead of you here, so 55 years ago we come down here to play football for Sarkar Slanian, and it was different back in those days. I mean, we had fun. And now it's a business. A lot of people making money off college football now. But we were undefeated. They honored us 10 years ago. We didn't even know we were undefeated. We just played and had a good time. We had termite terrace to worry about, and one palm tree at Dixie at the time, and so I could take pictures, about 10 of them, and show us. But we found one, and that was the Zions Bank building. But thanks very much, and I hope I don't offend anybody from the current regime of new leadership here, but I think we're still safe in saying, go Rebels.
There's no offense taken. Once a rebel, always a rebel, right? And I personally admire anybody that's willing to put up with that many kids for that long. We would like to go ahead and turn the time over to Connor again. Thank you.
Linda Lou, you have us on our seats, though we do not know who that person was. And if we're wondering who it is, you never gave the name, so we'll ask you after who that person was. And Dennis, Rebels Forever, I'm always at my heart, but I'm a trailblazer now too. So let's move on with the program here. And we would now like to share with you a music video that really tells a story of the transformation that Dixie State University makes in students' lives today. This video was produced by Phil Tuckett and current film students at DSU with outstanding artist and entertainer Alex Boyer. Following the video, we'll move into the Hall of Fame portion of the evening. Tonight's Hall of Fame awards will be presented by President Richard Biff Williams and Vice President Brad Last. I invite you to turn your attention to the screen.
Thank you for being patient. We're having technical difficulties for just one moment.
How was your day?
Oh, it was fine.
Hello, Mama. No, not St. George. Yes, Mom. Bye.
I close my eyes and I can see the world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. And through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. Whoa, they can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. Yeah.
dreams for the world we're gonna make.
There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Hey! Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. Hey! They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we desire.
'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
I have a dream that the world could be something different, so much more than what I see, than the one we're living. A million colors come alive, that's what we've been given. I paint a picture in your mind, I can see the vision. More than a dream, it's a fate, it's a destiny. Frame of mind, just like a vision, it's meant to be. One foot in front of the other, we walking brother to brother. I know reality, we're painted in color by color.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world that you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake.
A vision of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take.
Dreams for the world we're gonna
For the world we're gonna make.
I have to get the over 60 large print version of the script up here now, but I've been asking myself the last few minutes, Tiffany, where are you? How much do you think you can resell that stuff for that they just gave you tonight? You're looking it up on your phone right now? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, it's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I just want to add my congratulations to those people that have already been recognized tonight. The Hall of Fame is a time-honored tradition here at Dixie State, and this year marks our 20th induction ceremony. The Hall of Fame was created to recognize outstanding individuals who are connected with Dixie State University in a variety of ways. Some of our Hall of Fame members attended Dixie College, and I say Dixie College because we don't have anybody in the Hall of Fame yet who attended Dixie State College or Dixie State University. That's coming. But many of them attended Dixie College and then went on to make their marks in the world. Some Hall of Fame members did not attend Dixie State University, but have made significant contributions of time, energy, and resources to build this institution from a junior college to a state college, and now to a growing and thriving state university. An invitation to join the Dixie State University Hall of Fame is the highest non-academic honor that is given by this institution. Honoring those who have played such an important role in building this university seems to be an appropriate way to put an exclamation point on this week's homecoming activities. I am privileged to be here tonight as we induct 4 new members into our Hall of Fame. And selections for the Hall of Fame are based on criteria outlined in the program that you have. And each of today's inductees meets and exceeds these criteria. Before we introduce this year's new Hall of Fame members, I would like to take a moment to welcome and recognize those who have been previously inducted into the Dixie State University Hall of Fame. So would all of the Hall of Fame members who are present please stand and be recognized? And if you don't feel like standing, you can wave, I guess. But would you please stand up? Thanks to all of you. We continue to appreciate and honor your dedication to the university and all of your contributions that have helped make Dixie State University the great learning institution that it has become. Joining me in presenting the Hall of Fame Awards this evening will be Dr. Richard B. Williams, the 18th president of Dixie State University. You've already heard from him, and I just want to say that for me personally, it's a privilege to be associated with President Williams. Not to mention that he's my boss, so we have a lot of fun together. Our first honoree this year is Thales A. Tad Derrick. Now, Tad, would you please join the president and I on stage? Just come and stand right here. You're just going to have to stand here and look pretty for a minute. Thales A. Tad Derrick, as we know him, was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. He graduated from South High School and enrolled at the University of Utah. 1 year later, he entered the United States Air Force. Tad graduated at the top of his pilot training class and selected jet fighter aircraft as his choice for advanced training. Over the next 20 years, Tad had a heroic military career with training and operational assignments that spanned 10 states, as well as multiple countries, including England, Libya, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. And while stationed in England, Tad was trained and qualified to deliver nuclear weapons. Thankfully, you never had to do that. During Vietnam, Tad flew 129 combat missions. He received the Distinguished Flying Cross and 5 air medals for his efforts. In 1974, Tad retired from the military and was hired as the Director of Marketing for SkyWest Airlines. In 1976, Tad was hired by President Alton Wade to implement the first campus-wide cooperative education and career planning programs at Dixie College. A few years later, he was appointed as Dean of Instructional Support Services, and Tad's next assignment at Dixie was Associate Director of Institutional Advancement. Tad has held a number of community and church leadership positions, including serving as president of the Pennsylvania-Pittsburgh Mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And Tad and his wife, Willa Nita Brooks, reside in St. George. They have 5 children, 4 of whom graduated from Dixie. You can read a more complete bio for Tad in today's printed program. And now, President Williams, will you please present the Hall of Fame medallion to Thales A. Tad Derrick.
Three minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you for the honor of enrolling me in the Dixie State University Hall of Fame, which is truly a roll call of distinguished individuals. I'd like to express appreciation to a number of persons to whom I owe a debt of gratitude for the various roles and influences in my life. First, to my mother, Harriet Ann Clark Derrick, from whom I learned the importance of a mother's nurturing care, and from whom I also learned the efficacy of prayer. From my dad, Thales Matthew Derrick, I learned the importance of being willing to work hard. He believed in the saying, hard work ain't easy. It isn't. I do appreciate the opportunity to have served our country and to also have served at Dixie State University. In the Air Force, Colonel Emmett Cyclone Davis, Colonel Hal Comstock, and Major General Homer K. Hansen were strong leaders from whom I learned much. We continued our friendship after the Air Force years, and General Hansen eventually served on the Dixie State National Advisory Council after he and his wife Sally moved to St. George. There's a long list of people at Dixie to whom I'm indebted. Presidents Rolf Kerr, Alton Wade, Doug Alder, and Bob Huddleston, and Vice Presidents Pete Nyberg and Stan Plew. And to those directors and coordinators with whom I worked almost daily. Dell Taylor, Marvin Malin, Virginia Woodward, Peggy Levitt, Terry Bell, Kathleen Pope, Lorene Plum, Dick Swan, and a number of faithful secretaries, including Sharon Lee, Terrell Graff Roberts, and Liza Povey. Later, Dick Whitehead, Kaylin Larson, and I were a solid team in institutional advancement. All of these and many others share a part of this recognition. The whole goal during those years was to grow and build an institution that would serve students on their educational journey to become successful in all aspects of their lives. The faculty are the frontline soldiers in bringing this success about. Administrators and staff, like I was, were most effective when they recognized and supported the day-to-day interactions of students and faculty in unity and harmony as we work to provide them with the resources to facilitate their mutual success. In conclusion, I want to thank my wife, Willa Nita Brooks Derrick, and our 5 children who are always my strongest supporters and cheerleaders. We have 21 members of our family with us tonight, 2 sons, 1 daughter, and a son-in-law who all graduated from Dixie, are present. We have some grandchildren currently enrolled. Many thanks also to Brad Last and Debbie Foreman, who arranged for the Derrick clan to be present and who behind the scenes made all this happen. Again, a very sincere thank you for this distinct honor, which I do share with many.
Our next honorees this evening are Monty and Lisa Holm. Monty and Lisa, would you please join the President and I on stage? Monty spent his early years on a family farm, later moving to the St. George area where he attended Dixie College. Lisa was born and raised in Murray, Utah. During their college years, they met, married, and began building their life together. Working together, Monty and Lisa built a successful business in the financial services industry. Monty is the co-founder and former CEO of a worldwide financial services company. Both Monty and Lisa have strived to lead lives of service in church callings and the wider community. Monty has served as a director for several charitable organizations, including the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College Foundation and the WFG Foundation. Lisa has served as a board member for the Dixie Foundation and Tuacahn Center for the Arts. From 2011 to 2014, Monty and Lisa presided over the South Carolina Columbia Mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. During the building of the Holland Centennial Commons, Monty and Lisa helped with the cost of construction. Their generous donation is memorialized by the Monty and Lisa Holm Mezzanine, which is known to us here on campus as the Home Room. In 2011, Monty was awarded an honorary doctorate degree from Dixie State University. Monty and Lisa have 6 children and a growing number of grandchildren. And again, you can read a more complete bio for Monty and Lisa in the printed program. President Williams, will you please present the Hall of Fame medallions to Monty and Lisa?
President Williams and Brad, thank you very much for this honor. We certainly don't need it, and nor do we deserve it, but we're grateful to be here, and we agreed with Brad that they could do this if it would inspire we don't need our names on anything, but we hope that it may inspire others to give and to help and to serve if possible. We're grateful to be here with our family, some of our family members tonight. And I need to say that we love Dixie. We love the community, the Southern Utah, here in Southern Utah. I, as a boy, ran away from home, and I often tell the story that I never felt a sense of belonging until moving to St. George. And I think that's a human being's most basic need, is to belong, and I felt that when I moved here. And the people here in this community, and when I joined my church here and came to Dixie College here, and Lisa moved here later, and we met, and she was going to Dixie actually when I met her, and fell in love, and this place has had a huge impact on our lives, and we love it here. Dixie, back in 1979, I attended Dixie, and Rich Van Osdell, who some of you may have known, he was the professor of a small business class that I took, and I took lots of notes, and I loved that class, and it inspired me to go in business, inspired me to change direction of my career, and I've been very blessed since that day. And I don't know why we're so blessed, but we are blessed, for which we are grateful. So we love Dixie, we love the community, we love this institution, and we pray that it will continue to grow, and we're grateful for all the good that it's doing here in this local area as well as around the world. So thank you for your support of it. We plan to continue to support it. And President Williams, thank you for all that you're doing. We're grateful. Thank you very much.
Our next honoree is Roger L. Nuttall. Mr. Nuttall, would you please join us on stage? Roger L. Nuttall is the president of Camping World, the nation's largest network of recreational vehicle dealerships. Roger grew up in Hurricane and St. George. He attended Dixie High School and Dixie College, where he was the student body president for the 1973-74 school year. He later completed his undergraduate education at Weber State University. Roger became a certified public accountant in Ogden and became well known for his expertise in the recreational vehicle sector. During his time in the Ogden area, Roger was a member of the board of directors for the largest RV dealership in Utah, which later was acquired by Camping World. In 2003, Roger was invited to move to the Chicago area to take the position of Chief Financial Officer for Camping World. In 2009, he was promoted to Chief Operating Officer, and then in 2011 was designated as President of Camping World. He is responsible for more than 140 dealerships and retail locations with more than 10,000 employees and $4.5 billion in annual revenue. Throughout his life, Roger has remained tightly connected to Dixie State University. He currently serves on the National Advisory Council. He is married to the former Jan Gardner, an Ogden, Utah native. They have one daughter, 5 sons, and 24 grandchildren. And again, you can read a more complete bio for Roger in the printed program. President Williams, will you please present the Hall of Fame medallion to Roger L. Nuttall?
Thank you very much, Brad, President Williams, for this opportunity and recognition. To be honest with you, I didn't know this recognition existed until about a month and a half ago. And I was somewhat surprised and a little bewildered, when they called and asked me to consider this, and it is a great honor for me to do that. And, you know, to think I used to be, years ago, Brad was my neighbor in Hurricane, Utah. I believe he lived in the Hinton home, is that correct? Right across the street from us. And so when his father, a doctor, had moved into the Hurricane area. So I've had an acquaintance with the last family for many, many years, and are grateful for them. What Brad doesn't know is that many times he could have found me in the backyard tied to an almond tree. My mother used to take me in fear of me running off. She would take and put a rope in my loops and my belt and tie me to an almond tree and give me a bottle of Hires, an empty bottle of Hires with water in it and a spoon to play in the mud. That might give you a kind of an idea how smart I was, because I actually stayed there. And, you know, it wouldn't have been very difficult to get loose and to run away, but I didn't do that. So, and I remember that Hurricane was my first entrepreneur program that I ever ran, and my sister and I, she may not remember this, but we used to go gather pop bottles, put them in our little red flyer wagon, and go to Clifton's Market. And there we would trade those in for popsicles or something else. So I started very young, and then had the opportunity to move to St. George. My father was an educator, and education has been very deeply rooted in our family. I have many of my family here today, and I would dare to bet that more than half of my siblings have pursued their careers in education. When I got to the age of pursuing a college degree in education, I did go to my father, and he was a very wise man. And he said, I asked him, well, isn't there a great opportunity in education? I think I'd like to teach. I think I could do that. He says, well, make sure, number one, that you really like it, because you're never going to get paid what you're worth. So I went into business. And I found something else to be able to do, to be able to make a career. And I've been very fortunate. I've been able to be involved in building the company almost from scratch, and to watch it last year to enter into the public markets and to be able to be part of something that most people can only dream of. And what a great opportunity that has been. And to think that a little kid tied to an almond tree in the backyard of Hurricane, Utah, could actually become an executive in a national public company. And I believe that every young person in Washington County, every young person alive, takes a look at the opportunities that they have, be grateful for the backgrounds that they have. And now I've only got about 30 seconds at the most. And I have learned a couple things. One is gratitude. And that is, I'm so grateful for those people around me that have given me the support that I needed to have. My dear wife has put up with an awful lot over the past few years, and I'm really grateful for her. In fact, it's been more than a few years. And I'm grateful for a family that has stood behind me. Tonight I have 7 brothers and sisters. 5 of those brothers and sisters are here this evening. And most of them are still attached to the southern Utah area. I have 6 children. I have 24 grandchildren. And of those, all 6 of my children are here tonight from Texas and Arkansas and Illinois. And to be here with me to receive this honor, what a great tribute it is to just have my kids here. I will tell you a little story, though. And I made a couple of notes, and my granddaughter came into the room this afternoon, and I was making some notes. She says, Grandpa, what are you doing? I said, I'm making some notes to tell them that I've got 24 grandchildren and how proud I am of each one of those for making great choices. She says, yeah. And then she says, well, you know what? Abigail, she wears short shorts, so she's probably not making the right choices. So, you know, I'm grateful for my family. Thank you so very much for this honor. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank you.
You're welcome to go. Well, thanks to all of our Hall of Fame inductees. Now, will you join with me once again and welcome Thales A., Tad Derrick, Monty and Lisa Holm, and Roger L. Nuttall into the Dixie State University Hall of Fame. I think, I don't think, I know all of these members also mentioned their families and the support that they have received from their families. So we'd also like to recognize the family members of the Hall of Fame inductees. So all of the family members that are here, please stand up, and would you all join me in giving a hand to all of the family members? Congratulations to all of our Hall of Fame inductees. These recipients are truly deserving of this honor, and their efforts to build Dixie State University are deeply appreciated. The gorgeous plaques that you see here today with the biographies included will be placed on the wall in the Cox Auditorium lobby. We'll get those up next week, and we encourage all of you to enjoy the Hall of Fame whenever you are in the Cox Auditorium building. Thank you.
Tonight has been a wonderful evening, and we are grateful that each of you have stayed and listened, and hopefully you were fulfilled. I know I was this evening. As we read through the history books of the pages past and gone, we understand the lyrics of a special Dixie song, and so the years will pass, our friends will come and go, and that's why we hate saying adieu to the ones that are so trite and true, but we must, though it's just for now. We would like to conclude the evening by singing of the Dixie Medley. Leading us in the Dixie Medley will be the Program Bureau alumni and Raging Red, accompanied by Marilee Webb. Following the medley, we will close the evening by singing Just for Now. Please give a warm welcome to Raging Red and Program Bureau as they make their way to the front of the stage.
As they're coming and come all the way down here, I have a sense that there are some of you who were in Program Bureau or who were part of Dixie Medley and even former members of Raging Red, and sometimes some of you don't get up. And I want to ask you, don't miss an opportunity to, first of all, sing these songs. I will never get used to singing them. I will never get tired of singing them. This is my 10th year at Dixie State, 20 semesters of Raging Red. But also, you want to stand in and amongst, because we want all of you to know that the Dixie spirit is very much alive and well here in these people. So if you still know that you might want to get up here and be with us, I'm just going to walk down there, but you have plenty of time to come and do it. Do we also school song or no? Okay. So we'll start with Dixie Medley, and we've asked Del Beatty, Dean of Students, and former member of Program Bureau and a graduate of Dixie, to begin with it, and then we'll finish with Just for Now.
Are you from Dixie? I said from Dixie, where the fields of cotton beckon to me. I'm glad to see ya, to say how be ya, and the friends we're longing to see. If you're from Santa Clara, Washington, or St. George, fine, anywhere below the Iron County line, then you're from Dixie. Hurrah for Dixie! 'Cause I'm from Dixie too. Are you from Dixie?